So, hi guys. Day later, I've been looking at my options today for my final major project. Before I go into that, I'd like to talk about my previous work throughout my time in college. I've been reflecting on the costumes that have worked for me and what hasn't worked. For my previous final project, I created a costume based on Oberon from Midsummer Night Dream. Most inspiration I took from it was from Alexander McQueen. He's one of my favourite designers. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore, but I call them costumes. The costumes are amazing. The way he creates different fabrics and shapes with like non-realistic materials is what I really like. So that's my strongest point. Also, I created a dimensional feather neck brace which went around. And it was to show Orion's strong side and royal side as well as like event and evil. So that was my final major project for last year. My weakest points are pretty much more what I think is boring. I tend to do really bad work when I find a project's really boring. That's a huge flaw in my department. Not every project I'm going to get in this type of industry I'm going to like. So again, this is like a huge learning curve for me and understanding why I'm doing this and why do I want to make costumes. So I've been looking at the options today for my final major, and here are the options that I have so far. So first option is Mad Max. Mad Max has been one of my favourite films ever since I was younger. My dad showed me it and I kind of fell in love with the old series, Mad Max. And the new version came out recently with Tom Hardy, and again I fell really in love with it. The way the cinematography and the costumes are amazing, and Jenny, oh my god, she's one of my favourite designers, and how she came up with the costumes is just amazing. Honestly, if you haven't checked out her stuff, I really highly recommend you do. She just won an Oscar for the costumes and the creation. It's just brilliant. So Jenny is one of my favourite designers. Obviously I've been looking at different aspects of how I can incorporate Mad Max to the real world, so that's one option that I have at the moment. Yeah. So second option that I have, that I've written down, is Disney historical villains. Disney again is another thing that I've really grew up on, being a 90s kid. Disney has so many great villains, and I feel as if I want to do them justice by going back to their era where they actually originate, and obviously show it in a different light and aspect. That's one option that I can go for. Again, I have to think about the time constraint of making the costume and how am I going to do this, and it's one type of learning curve again for me to kind of time management and skills. So again, that's my second option, Disney historical costumes. You can go corsetry, anything. The world's the oyster. Obviously I'm trying to think of what I can do and what I can't do. So that's the second option. My third option is quite recent in the war that's been happening in Syria. I think it's quite hard to kind of make a costume out of something that's happening right now, realistically. I would like to make a costume for either a performance of what's going on via theatre, via Syria, because I feel as if people don't know everything that's going behind closed doors, and I kind of want to show that in a political view as well. So that's another option that I can go for. It's something quite realistic. It's not my strongest suit, but obviously if I like a project, then I will probably do better on it. So that could be a contender. I'm not too sure yet. It's something that is possible to make, but it's just the research, and am I going to enjoy this? And if I'm not going to enjoy this, there is no point in doing it, really. My next idea is the Brothers Grimm. Going going back to Disney, Disney's very preppy and happy, and that's kind of not what I'm like. I like the dark, twisted fairy tales, the realistic side to what really kind of goes on in that type of way. Like, I like the idea of taking something which is happy and making it not so happy. So The Brothers Grimm is another contender. Obviously researching fairy tales and the books they made and where they come from, Germany. So that's another contender. I think the reason why I like it more is because I feel as if it suits the way I make costumes. I'm not someone who does something very preppy and happy. Most of my costumes, I wouldn't say are gothic, but are quite dark in a sense. Whenever we're doing a project, I always seem to choose the darkest person there, as in the person who has more of an issue with the main character, who's an antagonist. And I feel as if I looked into Brothers Grimm's books and I find something that I will probably go into more, I feel as if this could be a good contender for me to pursue. Obviously, I'm still searching what I can do and what I can't do, so I've got 4 options at the moment. There are loads more that I am researching. I'm researching via just my laptop and looking into books as well, and this really helps me to understand what I want to do. And if I do this, then I know that it's going to be more easy to pick out what character and what production of film or theatre I want to do, but I know I will end up doing some type of film performance with the costume. That's something I really want to do, because for my exhibit we're to show the costume and the research, but I'd also like to show a film of the actual costume and movement, motion, so it's easy for me to communicate the idea behind the character.